What is going on, everybody? This is Andrew from DeFiancy. Hope you guys are having a good day. Sorry we did not get our video out yesterday. We had some major events that happened and we were just completely glued to the screen managing our own positions. So we want to update you guys, get you guys up to speed on what went down yesterday. First, let's just take a look at the technicals here like we usually do. We're looking at Bitcoin right now, and we can see that Bitcoin has, over the last week, had a bit of a retrace. We had talked about in our Sunday video how price was going to have an issue breaking this dump zone around 37.5. As we can see, that has played out. And then we also mentioned in that video that this 35.5 level roughly would be basically a no trade zone. It would be a very pivotal level, and no surprise we're getting a bounce there. But really, I think the fundamentals are more important to talk about here than the technicals, and we're just going to jump straight into that. If you don't know who Binance is, before we talk about this, Binance is by far and away the largest crypto exchange in the world. At one point, I think they were doing about 70% of the spot volume. I'm not sure what that number is today, but they have been just a juggernaut in the space, especially after FTX collapsed. They just kind of absorbed most of the crypto industry as we know it. And one of the big issues that trading firms, investors in general, have had to deal with is an investigation that has been going on between Binance and the Department of Justice. And the reason why this is important is a lot of big investors were like, okay, any day now we're going to wake up and there's going to be a Department of Justice headline and the markets are going to crash because Binance is going to be shut down or whatever. That's what people thought was a real possibility. And to be honest, it was. It was a real threat that people had to deal with. And this is why I believe personally that you had this price action that was really choppy starting from when that investigation began in the summer. Because think about it. We would get into profit, we would get some momentum, and then traders would have to make, they'd have to make that decision of, okay, do I not take profit here and wake up to a headline of Binance being shut down and the markets are down 50%? Like, that's what people thought was a real possibility. And the fact that now we have gotten past that, this is settled for the most part. Not that it's completely over, but the fact that one of the major boogeymans that investors had to worry about is gone is massively bullish. So for me, this is one of the most important events that has ever happened in crypto, because that spot Bitcoin ETF, and we had talked about this in the past, was always going to be a struggle to get approved because of Binance, because they're unregulated and they don't play by the US's rules. Whether you agree with that or not, it was just a reality. And now Binance is about to be regulated effectively by the US. They're still going to operate as an exchange. They're going to have basically like a U.S. regulator working with them to some extent. Now, why does this matter? What does this mean going forward? Well, what this means going forward is big investors, specifically in the TradFi arena, are going to see this as incredibly bullish, because they now feel like this place is a lot safer. Now, it doesn't mean that all of the threats and all of the risk vectors and boogeymans are gone. Tether, if you don't know what that is a major stable coin and has been the source of much FUD and fear and trepidation for a very long time. We're still going to have to deal with that. But I think that is, if that's the only thing we have to deal with at this point, I think we're doing pretty good. Because to be honest, the Binance situation was a far bigger threat. Maybe we can go into why I think Tether is not as bad as you think, or what many people will tell you later. But for now, let's just focus on Binance and talk a little bit more about this. So let's go to the charts, okay, and really just think about this from a psychological standpoint. Now that people know that the biggest black swan, or I guess that's a gray swan event that could happen, is off the table, a lot of people that are waiting for a big move down are going to have to readjust their strategy, meaning that any dips that happen, I can almost guarantee you from this point forward, get bought much more quicker than they did before. It is now that the timer is ticking down for people that are on the sideline. And I can tell you right now that, look, DeFiancy is, we're an aggressive prop firm. And I think Everybody has to have a different strategy depending on where they are and what their goals are. But the people who want to make the most amount of money in this industry do not have the luxury of being patient anymore, but in my opinion, because you do not have the overhang, the heaviness of that Binance investigation, which was keeping this market suppressed. Once the TradFi people get their claws on this, on Bitcoin, on Ethereum, it will never be the same. The prices will never be at these levels again. There just isn't, there isn't a large enough supply for TradFi to get in, even a little bit, without pushing these prices up dramatically, much higher than what people think are possible. And what I want to focus on here is ETH, because for this video, in terms of, a strategy for people, and for us, and for DeFiancy people in the Discord, and we'll go into altcoins later. So now that we know we have that overhang done, we know that that spot Bitcoin ETF is even more likely to be passed now because they don't have a lot of reasons not to pass it. Prices are likely just to go up from here. I mean, can they go down? Yes, but again, every dip is going to be seen as much more of an opportunity. I mean, it was already an opportunity, but it's even more of an opportunity now for people. And when you're in when you have that kind of psychology, you just don't really get them anymore because everybody wants the dip now, right? Because they realize, okay, these prices are going higher, and that's why you have ETH up 5% today from the lows, right? And the reason why I want to talk about ETH here is because I think it has a better setup. So during that sell-off yesterday, we came down to this volume shelf here, roughly 1925, 1950, whatever, and we have bounced cleanly off that level. We had talked previously about, we love to use these Fibonacci levels as a guide for really what to expect. And now that we're pretty much cleanly over this 25 fib level, you can make the case that maybe we're still kind of fighting it. But assuming we get over that and hold this, which is roughly like 2100 level, for me this is just smooth sailing from there. I think you make it up to roughly 3000. And don't get me wrong, I think there's some hiccups along the way, probably around 2600, maybe another round of consolidation. But I think you're setting, you should be looking ahead to 3000, if not higher. I mean, there's so many reasons why I think ETH is going to be higher. I really believe it is blockchain as we know it. I'm a fan of other blockchains like Solana, but there is just so much narrative that can be derived from Ethereum once people really start to understand what this industry is as a global settlement layer, as a Euro-dollar network, as the world's first decentralized economy. There's just so much to unpack there, and I think people are going to FOMO into this asset as it goes higher, specifically institutions, because they can earn a yield on it. Now, what do we have to look for like this week and going forward? We like to talk about our economic calendar, so we're going to pull that up here. And I can tell you, I think we already talked about this on Sunday, there's really not a lot. So we're not going to spend a lot of time here. You know that we have Thanksgiving tomorrow, and then you have, there is a Bitcoin futures expiration on Friday, OPEX, within the legacy markets. You do have this flash manufacturing PMI, but there's really just not a lot, I think, to affect global macro. So, equities, and you kind of toss crypto into that now because as TradFi starts to jump into these assets, these kinds of things matter more and more. But there just aren't a lot of risk vectors over the next few weeks, or really this week and into next week. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, don't be surprised to see this thing rally into the weekend, into next week. I'm not so sure that it's going to sit around and wait when it's so obvious that we're in a risk-on environment, global liquidity is trending higher, and there's an appetite for risk, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to keep this video pretty short here because, number one, I think we want to put out a better video outlining really some altcoin strategies and just more details on really DeFiancy's plan going forward. We want to talk about collateralized lending and so many different things, but that's going to take time to set those kinds of videos up. Again, this is just a daily update. I did say we're going to talk about altcoins, so I guess we'll just go there real quick. One of the altcoins we talked a lot about over the last couple of days is dYdX. I mean, we sent so many signals in the Discord talking about it because it was such an obvious play. It bounced off this 0.5 level on this current rally, really nicely, and it's up like 15, close to 20% from the lows. Okay, not surprising to me at all because it's a decentralized exchange. When you have centralized exchange issues, the decentralized exchanges are going to benefit, right? Because they're an alternative. And altcoins in general, as you can see over here on the right, are just up, right? If we go here and just look at this more broadly, you can see that the market is doing pretty well today in general. Let's look at some of the winners here. Some of the winners, Pyth. If you don't know what that is, it's something we'll probably be talking about. It's an oracle. The project is managed by Jump Trading, which is an enormous TradFi company that also has a crypto division. So Jump Crypto. Blur, which is an NFT project, is up a lot. And then, of course, we talked about dYdX. It's up a lot. Uniswap, another DEX, not surprising. Thorchain is another decentralized cross-chain project, up a lot, or up a pretty good bit over the last 24 hours. And again, just a lot of DeFi stuff in here as well. Yeah, so overall, a really solid day for altcoins. And again, if you want to get kind of a more play-by-play scenario, or just more live updates on altcoins, you should check out our Discord. But again, we're going to put out more detailed videos that are beyond the scope of these daily updates later. And excuse me. And until next time, friends, happy hunting.